Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Capital Seat. I got our special guest here, Paul Montelongo, builder, investor, mentor, a guy who's built eight, multi-million dollar businesses throughout his career. So special to have him on to talk about, the things that's, led him up to where he is now and multifamily investing and other investing things that he does. So I guess that's a great spinoff there, Paul.
Keep going. You're doing good.
You've,
It's sounding
you've,
great.
yeah, I'm gassing you up right now. I
You
mean,
all right, keep going,
that's
brother.
not, that's not a common thing, right? To build eight multi-million dollar businesses, right? So, what were those businesses, and how did they transpire, man?
Yeah. First of all, thanks for having me on. And I should I tell them about the bar fight?
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
Should I tell you should see the other guy? How classic is that? No, I had some eye surgery. So anyway, this is my attempt to look cool. Uh, no, it's been a ride. I'll tell you, Chaka, the when I sit back and think about it and look at it of what I've done in my life and my career, it's amazing.
Mhm.
However, I usually do not sit back and look at it. Very rarely. Unless you had prompted me right there, I probably wouldn't think much about it. It's just something that I've always done. I don't have a college degree. I don't have a college education. I struggled through high school. I couldn't pay attention.
Mhm.
I couldn't sit in my seat still. And at the same time, I really wasn't a socialite per se. I mean, I had friends and that sort of thing, but I really wasn't, a social butterfly, social gadabout. And so then when I got out of high school, I went to one semester of college. And I remember I was taking an architecture class because I thought maybe I wanted to be an architecture,
Mhm.
an architect. And the professor said, "Listen, when you finish this course and you get this degree, you will be able to go and make $40,000 a year."
Mhm.
And he said that, and I did not go back to class the next day. And I never went back to class because I had bigger ideas than $40,000 a year. Even as a young man at 19 years old back in the 70s, I had bigger ideas, bigger dreams. And so I went to work immediately in my father's remodeling company, and I did the things that young hustlers do. I did the roofing, and I did the sales, and I did the accounting, and I did the estimating, and I did the deliveries, and whatever it took, whatever
Mhm.
it took. And then in my mid 20s, I decided to go out on my own and build my own construction company. So that was my first official business, was building a design build remodeling company in South Texas, in San Antonio area. And then from that, it evolved into, and that was a multi-million dollar business, and that evolved into insurance restoration. So if your house burned or flooded or got knocked over by a truck or whatever it took, uh, and it was an insurance claim, then my company fixed that. We did insurance claims, and I did that for a long time, 17 years. And
Mhm.
I had major insurance companies as my clients, and that was a multi, and I was still doing the remodeling, so that was another multi-million dollar business there.
Okay.
And then after that, I all along I'll tell you that I was investing in real estate. So real estate, and that's another business. So real estate's always been that that. Sometimes it was a side hustle, sometimes it was the main hustle. It could have been the side hustle to my insurance restoration company, but it was always there. So I bought my first piece of property when I was 17 years old. I bought a piece of dirt, and my idea was that I was going to build a house and sell it, a spec house and sell it. Well, 2 years went by, I didn't do anything, so I sold the land and I made double the money. I paid $7,500, I made $15,000, so I doubled my money.
Mhm.
So that kind of gave me a taste of the blood. And then a couple of years later, I bought a house, and then I bought a house across the street, and then I started buying houses and flipping them, and I would rent them. And so then that was just a lifetime of doing that. But
Mhm.
those were one-off transactions. Those were, I'd buy a house, fix it and flip it, and go buy a house, fix it and flip it. And even though I could do three or four or five at a time, they're still transactional it's still transactional work.
Yeah.
You're just doing one at a time. So that's what led me into how we know each other, the multifamily business, and
Mhm.
that in 2015 I bought a multi-unit property. I bought a marina, and it had 115 boat slips. It had 38 RV spaces, and so that whatever 115 and 38 is, 158 or 63, whatever that is, that's how many checks I would get a month, and
Mhm.
that made a lot of sense to me. And so I took all of my prior business experience of managing people and building companies and working with CPAs and working with lawyers and working with profit and loss statements and all of that stuff that you do as a business person.
Mhm.
And I brought it over into the multi-unit space. And then after that, after I did that marina, then I bought apartments, and so now I have over 1,000 apartments. And I'm before the show we were talking about I'm in the middle of closing 3 transactions right now, and I'm negotiating on 3 others. So in 2023, I fully expect to buy somewhere between 3,000 and 3,500 doors. That's our goal. I have a nice team, and that's our goal. And so for me, it's a business, and for me, it's a it's I have this philosophy, Chaka,
Mhm.
and I didn't have this philosophy until recently, like in the last few years, that everything I have done up to that point served me in whatever I was doing at that point.
Okay.
So whatever happened next was serving me at that point. So where I am now is just an accumulation of everything that I've done in my life. So all of those things have served me in there, and all of the skills that I took away from all of those different operations, I now use cumulatively in the business that I have now. I also was a professional speaker for 10 years. I was on the professional speaking circuit
Oh,
because I
wow.
was a builder. Yeah, because I was a builder and I was in the construction industry.
Mhm.
I would get invited to speak at conferences. Well, next thing you knew, I got invited to one and then two and then three and four. And next thing you know, I was doing 65 or 70 of these a year on a professional basis. So
Jeez.
for 10 years, I traveled around the world, and I spoke at real estate conferences and realtor conferences and plumbing associations, electrical associations, builder associations, insurance associations, anything related to the real estate and construction industry. I would speak on what I called sales motivation. So how to sell yourself and how to sell your products, goods, and services. So
Mhm.
that too, has played into where we are now. So that's a long description of, I think, what you asked, and
Yeah.
all of those businesses added up cumulatively. I've employed over 1,000 people, and I think pretty close to $100 million worth of business that I've been able to transact, not including the apartment complexes that I've purchased in the last 5 years. So if I include those, I'm sure it's over $200 million. But um, I think back to your original point, I never really, if the truth be told, I didn't have a plan.
Mhm.
I didn't have a plan. I didn't say, okay, when I'm 40 years old, I will have done this, and when I'm 50, I will have done. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a plan. I just did what I thought I should do at the moment and at the time. And
Yeah.
uh,
You didn't
now I
have
have
a
a
plan. You just knew you were gonna get it. You didn't know how you was gonna get it, but I'm gonna get it. Right? That's how it
there's
goes.
a lot of truth to that. A lot
Yeah.
of truth to that. It's just like I knew that I knew that it had to happen. And I mean, I had a family and I had children, I had a mortgage, and I had to pay bills, and so it just as time went on, all of a sudden, time has rolled through. But what's been nice about it is, as I mentioned a moment ago, I've been able to accumulate all that experience and use it now. And the other thing that I do and that I love to do, as you know, is mentor.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's my responsibility to give back and mentor and educate and tell people that it's okay. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to put your neck out there. It's okay to hustle.
Mhm.
It's okay not to hustle. I mean, seriously, if you think you can't hustle today, there'll be tomorrow. Hopefully those days are at a minimum, but this is the path of life, I believe. So
For sure. Okay.
that's where I am. Yeah,
So you mentioned there, and I like what you just said. It's okay to make mistakes. You let people know it's okay to make mistakes. So, what mistakes have you made or occurred over the early, couple years in your multifamily investing, or even just, your single family flicks and flips or any other
sure.
businesses?
S- So I don't have a conscious regret system. I
Okay.
don't I don't live with regrets. I I just don't. And if I look back on everything, I go, okay, what I did at that moment, I learned something from it. It served me in such a way. So if I had some learning experiences around along the way, I would say I would have got with it much sooner. I would have hustled much sooner. I would have hustled in a little different way. I would have expanded my network. I would have expanded my education. I would have expanded the people with whom I work at a different level.
Hmm.
And I would say that that is a thing that I have learned to just keep hanging out with people that have bigger visions, bigger ideas, bigger successes, and it doesn't have to be in business.
Hmm.
So uh, it, we're talking business, but it could be your health and fitness, it could be your relationships, it could be your um, uh, how you interrelate with people. It could be business, it could be arts, entertainment. I
Yeah.
remember a few years ago I took an art class, and I did not realize that I loved to paint. So for the last, let's see, I did that in 2014. So for the last 8 years, I've been painting. Well, I didn't realize that I like to paint, but I went to a class where somebody was obviously a whole lot better than I was. And
Hmm.
so that's the thing that I would say I've learned the most. Now, in terms of, what could have gone better, I could have picked some better partners along the way. And that's just, an experience thing of trusting people and vetting people. I could have picked some better partners. I could have had bigger visions about what were possible in terms of, instead of buying, 100 doors, I could buy 300 doors. So I think it's mindset.
Hmm.
And it, if I could learn, if I could learn anything or share anything from what I've learned, is always challenge your mind. And the moment you think that something's out of the realm of possibility for you,
Hmm.
that's the thing you should concentrate on. That's the thing you should pursue. Like if you think buying 100 units of apartments is out of your realm, you should pursue that. And
100%.
yeah, if you think, having a 9% body fat is way out of your possibility, you should pursue that. If you think having the most loving, uh, uh, kind, gentle, romantic relationship with a significant other is out of your possibilities, you should pursue that. So the moment that you identify something as being out of your realm of possibility is the moment that you should pursue that. You should learn everything you can about it. You should immerse yourself into an environment where people are successful at that. And that influence will just get right back on you, and it'll help you grow. You may not get, to 9% body fat. Okay. You may fail and get to 12. Well, hell's bells. Okay.
Yeah, you went for it, right? So
Yeah.
do the things that make you uncomfortable.
It
Thus,
make
you
you
can grow
uncomfortable. Right.
physically, mentally, spiritually, all those type of things.
Absolutely. You may not get 100 doors, but you may get 80. Well, I'm sorry. You didn't really fail. You didn't really fail. See, you went for it. And by the way, if you got 80 and you wanted 100, you learned. So the next round, you'll get what you want. So
Yeah.
I think that's, to me, at this point in my life, that's where all the juice is. The
Hmm.
juice is in how do I take a thing that I know I can do and do it better? And how do I take a thing that I know I can do well and do it like the best? And not the best compared to you or the best compared to the guy at the conference down there, but the best according to me. Like did I max out my effort? Did
Yeah.
you max out? Did you max out your effort? That's where the real juice is. If at the end of the day, at the end of the week, the end of the month, you can go, man, I went wire to wire, baby. I went wire to wire and I gave it all. To me, that's where the real juice is in life.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel that too, right? I always like to say, hey, when I talk to people, if you failed at a goal or you didn't do something or you didn't hit any type of mark you wanted, can you honestly look back and tell yourself, I did all I could do to get there? Or did you just have excuses of X, Y, and Z happen? So I had to slow down. Okay. But did you, give everything you had to go back there? So, and, you mentioned, during your spill there that one thing you could have did better was vetting some partners, right? So,
Mhm.
um, Any key things you can have there? Maybe some people out there listening, okay, they're looking for partners now because as you know, this multifamily game real estate, it's all about teamwork. So
Sure is.
what can help you vet out the people to work with, or what are some things to look for? What are the things you look for when you're vetting out people?
I listen.
Okay.
I listen because people will tell you who they are. I think it was Angela Mayo. You can Google this to see if this is correct. I think it was Angela Mayo that said, if you will just listen when people speak, they will tell you everything you need to know about them.
For sure. You're right
I'm
about
like,
that.
that's pretty smart. So what then that revolves around for me is their values.
Mm-hmm.
People will tell you what they really value and what they will do to stay in harmony with their values. So when you have those kinds of conversations with people and when you have those kinds of interactions with people, you the vetting process of a person and their values becomes more streamlined. So yeah, a lot of people can do business. They can sell goods and products and services, and they can earn a profit. And they can even do that for other investors and with other investors. A lot of people can do that, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then when there comes to be a hard time, or when there's a time when some hard decisions need to be made on a venture, who that person, including myself, who that person really is surfaces. Who that person really is in terms of their values, what that person really values surfaces. And so you want to align yourself with people with similar values. I don't know what those values are. That's for each of us individually.
Mm-hmm.
But alignment with values, because it's much more than just, okay, what's your track record, and how do you have the business acumen that I need to partner with? I believe it's much more than that.
Okay. Okay, for sure, for sure. So, in terms of teamwork, so you say you got a good team now, and you guys are pushing for 3,000 doors in the next 12 months, right? So, how are you going to do that, right? So, what is your strategy, and in today's climate, with certain things going on with federal hikes, interest rates, how are you now attacking acquiring these properties, and so aggressively, in the next year?
Great question. So I'm going to do a lot of praying. I'm going to do I'm going to
For
do
sure.
a lot of phone calls right after those prayers. But um, okay, so it starts with this: do I believe that deeply enough to make it happen? So 3,000 doors. Let's just 3,000 doors is a number that I've identified. So then the question I ask myself is, do I believe that deeply enough to pursue that? Okay, if I believe that deeply enough, then I have the faith and trust that things will fall in line to help me accomplish that. So that's the first step, your belief. Do you believe deeply enough that you can acquire whatever it is you think you want to acquire? And then secondly, all right, who do I need to align myself with, or who needs to align themselves with me in order for that to happen?
Mm-hmm.
And so a question that I always ask people that I'm working with is, okay, what do you need? Where's the gap for you? What is the thing that you're missing that would dial up your business, that would dial up your life?
Mm-hmm.
What is that thing? And it's interesting, when I get answers to that question, I don't always get business answers. Oftentimes I will get personal development answers, like, well, in order for me to acquire 3,000 doors, I need to be in better shape so I have better energy. Ah, okay. That's something that, that's not business. That's something that supports the business.
Mm-hmm.
I've had that answer, people answer that, give me that answer several times. So in terms of the market itself, in terms of what's going on in the market, I do believe that in 2023, 2024, there'll be plenty of opportunity. The key, though, is, are we able to be smart in what we buy? So this is going to mean multiple offers on multiple deals. This is going to mean trying to be creative in terms of financing and creative in terms of purchasing properties with sellers, getting creative with brokers, getting creative with lenders. Like you're always in the creativity game. How can I make this happen? How can I adjust something to make it happen? And then keeping the vision in mind and then working to that vision by finding out, who's on board, who wants to play the game. Because I have discovered in life that many, many people want to play the game. Many, many people want to be on the field.
Yeah.
And then there are a select few that have the grit and determination and the drive to actually get on the field. So those are the people that I want to affiliate myself with, and I would suggest that anybody listening here affiliate yourself with people that have that determination. And it's it's not a braggadocio thing. To me, it's an undercurrent. It's like when I look at you, I see the eye of the tiger. I see a man that's hungry. I see a man that wants it. And so you're going to go get it. So a lot of people like you need to hang out together, which I know you do. So in terms of technicalities,
Mm-hmm.
I think we keep informed on the markets. We keep informed on broker relationships. Broker relationships are huge. They're extremely important. So we're continuing to develop broker relationships because the brokers will take deals to buyers that can perform. So you can perform, the broker's going to line up, they're going to call you first. They're going to put you in, they're going to include you in the process.
Yep. 100%. Okay. So, and you were talking as far as, what people need to be the best that they can be. So how about that point on you, right? So what would you say is the most important thing that you do for your business that without it, it would probably crumble?
That's a freaking good question. That is a freaking good question. So I think the thing that I do the best for our business here and for what we've built is closing the deal, negotiating the deal, closing the deal, and putting the people and parts in place to get a deal done. Because once the deal is done, we've got great management and great and team people that can make sure that the deal operates profitably.
Mm-hmm.
Getting the deal in the hopper, getting the deal in our inventory is the thing that I believe that I'm the best at. I love it. I like the negotiations. I like the contractual back and forth. I like dealing with the lawyers, and I like dealing with the brokers, and I like dealing with the lenders, and I love dealing with investors. So I make dozens and dozens and dozens of investor calls a week, and we're to the point now where investors are starting to call us and go, "Hey, listen, what have you got?" So that's a nice return on my time. That's a nice return on my invested energy. So I would say that the specific answer to your question is the driving of the deal and the drawing in of the resources to make the deal happen, including investor relations. Yep.
Okay, shoot for on it. So when you're talking to these lawyers, these brokers, and so forth, what type of attitude are you bringing to the table? Right? Are you talking about negotiations? You're talking about back and forth. What type of attitude or what type of strategy are you using to go in there and get things done?
I like to think that I always bring a work with attitude.
Okay.
Like, how can it be? It sounds so cliche. It really does. But how can it be a win on both sides? How can it be win-win? Like, how can you feel good about the negotiation or the transaction and me as well and my team as well? I mean, does it serve us both? Doesn't always happen like that. Sometimes we both just go, okay, this is not going to work. But to the extent possible, if when I work with people that have the goal in mind of getting the job done, then the steps along the way are much easier. As long as we keep the big picture in mind that the deal needs to get done, the loan needs to get done, the financing needs to get done, the investment from the investor needs to get done. As long as that end goal is kept in place, then the mechanics along the way, they tend to fall in place better. So I think I bring an attitude of let's get it done to the table. And I just have found that in my life that makes me sleep better.
Yeah.
I'm less agitated. I'm less anxious
Mhm.
as long as I can feel like I'm getting the best thing done for all parties.
Okay, yeah, for sure, for sure. That was the saying that if both parties are, it's not if both parties are happy with the choice. If both parties are okay with it, then probably a pretty fair deal, right? If both sides are just all right, like I'll take it. It's a fair deal. So, um,
I like to be happy with my with what's going on my side. I'd rather if I had to choose, I'd choose to be I'm gonna be happy with that negotiation. But I get what you're saying. The other thing is too, we're uh, investors are placing a lot of trust in us with their hard-earned dollar. So
for
we
sure.
always look at things from the perspective of how can this best serve our investors? How does this
Mhm.
investment best help our investors? So that's the very first question we always ask when we find a deal, when we underwrite a deal, when we offer a price on a deal, when we secure a deal, when we get financing, when we do the property management, everything revolves around okay, what is the best for the investor? Because without the investors, these big deals like we're doing, they don't happen. So we also operate from that perspective all the time. It's just key that I feel it's key that you keep that in mind, and
Yeah.
that I keep that in mind when I'm negotiating at all times.
Yeah, 100%, right? It's the real estate business, but when you put it in those terms, like it's not really you're not really running a real estate company. You're running an investment company.
It's
Um,
true.
and you're using real estate as the tactic to build these returns. Um, so
That's true. If you have relationships with investors, let's just play that role for a minute. If you have solid relationships with your investors, yes, you're placing them in the real estate vehicle. But with solid relationships, if you find another vehicle in your future that works really well for investors, because you've developed a trusting relationship with investors, they now are more willing to take a listen to that second and third business that you might be thinking of. And
mhm,
though our primary business is real estate, and though our primary business is real estate investing, with these solid relationships, should something else come up, then you have relationships that you can work with. So that it's very important to take care of everybody that is in your investor pool. And by take care of, I don't mean just cut them dividend checks. I
mhm.
mean pay attention to them. We give gifts to our investors. So a lot of people don't do that. It's like when you park your money in one of our investments, we really appreciate you and thank you and you're part of our family. So um that but I feel like that's very important to treat people like that. It's just good practice.
Yeah, 100%. So you're talking about different vehicles, and that's a good spinoff here. So I know, just from hearing you talk about it and seeing on your social media, so you're getting ready to build um self storage, right?
Yes, yes.
So how is that going, and what all goes into that as far as acquiring land and actually getting that thing built up, and what are your plans with it?
So I've been intrigued by self-storage for a couple of years, and
Hmm.
I've dabbled in it a little bit and try to find something and try to find out what I could about it. It makes sense to me because it too is a multi-check business.
Hmm.
Right? It's multi-payment business, many streams of revenue. And so my wife Letitia and I located a piece of land on the south side of San Antonio, um, just under 10 acres.
Hmm.
And so we've hired an architect and we've hired an engineer firm, and they're putting together for us the plans to build a 392 unit self storage along with outdoor RV parking and outdoor RV storage, and then maybe some little bit of retail on the front of it. And so it's about a $9 million project, and I'll be raising somewhere in the vicinity of $2.5 to $3 million for investors to come participate. We plan on breaking ground sometime in the spring, in the next 3 months. We plan on breaking ground, and then it will be ready to be occupied in about 10 months after that. So within about a year or so from today, we should have a self-storage in our portfolio. It'll be a brand new product. I'm not buying an existing one. I chose to build one,
Mhm.
and most of it'll or much of it will be climate controlled. And we had a feasibility study done on it, and I'm working with the lenders now, and so it's that train is rolling, and I'm really excited about that because it's different. Now, you
Yeah.
remember what I said earlier about everything that I've done in the past has prepared me for the future or prepared me for the present.
Hmm.
So everything that I've done in the past has prepared me for the present, which is building a self storage.
Yeah.
So when I build a self storage, that will prepare me for whatever is next beyond that. So all of these things, um, I'll be, we'll be doing over the next 12 months. Yep.
Okay. Do you foresee yourself doing more of those?
I think
In
so.
addition.
I think so. I think if it gets successful, like I think it will,
Hmm.
it is a business model that we can reproduce.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Okay. Okay. So, other than the self storage, on the multifamily side, what are you working on right now? You mentioned a couple that you have under contract. You're getting ready to close.
So we have one right now in Wichita, Kansas. That's an 88 unit. It's a $6 million purchase. It will close in the next 2 weeks. We're almost raised for it, but we're still raising money for it. Has great returns. That is a product that is 1.1 mile away from a Class A apartment complex that I bought in Wichita, Kansas in July. So we like the Wichita, Kansas market. It's surprisingly good, and by surprisingly, I mean that it's a market that is not expected. Um, it's not your Austin or Dallas or San Antonio or Atlanta. It's not a major market, but it has really good fundamentals to it. So we're closing that one. We have one in Corpus Christi, 142 units. It's $11.5 million purchase that we're going to close before the end of 2022. And then we have another one in San Antonio that's under contract that will close sometime in January. It's 200 units. It's an $18 million transaction. So those are the three transactions that we are working on right now. So if you add those up, what's that? 200, 142, and 88. That's 420 doors or something like that. Is that the right math?
I'll trust
Something
it.
like that.
Yeah, I'll trust it.
Let's go with that.
Let's go with it.
Let's go with that. Unless I have my iPhone calculator, I'm not any good at that.
Yeah.
But those are the projects that we have on the board right now that have been approved by lenders. And by the way, I'm the KP on those. I'm the key principal, and so I'm the guarantor on the loan, and I'm the lead on all of those. So obviously, I have partners and team members and such, but those transactions are transactions that I sponsor and I guarantee. So in addition to those, we're looking at three others in several other markets that we like, that we've identified, that look good to us, have good fundamentals,
Hmm.
and then we'll keep looking for more product.
Okay. Nice. Nice.
I
Nice.
I
Sounds like.
I yeah, I think in 2023 uh, we can probably get 15 to 20% reduction on prices, if not more.
Yeah.
Depends on the market, depends on the age of the product, depends on the motivation of the seller, but at least 15% discount, maybe 20, 25% discount on a lot of product, as long as we can continue to get fixed rate financing. I'm of the belief that fixed rate financing at this juncture, at this moment in time, is the way to go. Helps
Hmm.
me sleep better when I know my costs are fixed and not adjustable.
Yeah.
Um, that I reserve the right to change my mind on that in the next 12 months, because sometimes the floating rate, the bridge loan rate, is a good way to go in the right product. But
Hmm.
for the most part, these are fixed rate loans that we're obtaining right now. Yeah.
How do you feel about seller finance?
I love seller finance. I love seller finance. So with every transaction, we ask the question: is the seller open to financing? Is the seller open to assuming the loan? Is the loan assumable? Is the seller open to maybe even participating in the purchase of the property by offering some equity and then getting a return later? So we're doing all sorts of creative things with sellers, because the market today is different than it was 1 year ago. 1 year ago, there was no conversation. 1 year ago, a seller would say, "My property is worth $20 million. Take it or leave it. Goodbye."
Hmm.
So now the conversation is, I'd like to have $20 million, but what you got? And make an offer. And let's keep talking. So the environment has changed. The temperature of the market has changed. And
Hmm.
this is good for owner operators, buyers, investors, because like I told somebody not too long ago, this feels like old school investing.
Yeah.
This feels like the way we used to do it, where there was some back and forth and some give and take, and a seller was motivated, and you found out that the seller was motivated, and then you worked to his motivation. And so that feels more traditional, more old school, and I like that, as opposed to the last 2 or 3 years where brokers would say, "Hey, it's $20 million, take it or leave it, and we want $2 million earnest money, non-refundable. You want it or not? Goodbye." And then you'd never hear from them again. So this feels more like business now.
Hmm.
That felt more like shopping cart.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. And then now you got less people in the pond actually trying to buy these things because, as you mentioned earlier before, right, not everyone's as eager to jump in the game right now. And you have a lot of people talking about, hey, with everything that's going on, I'm kind of scared to, put my money in or go out and raise capital for some things where I don't really know what's going on in the economy. But, as you were saying, if you can scale it right and if you can underwrite it conservatively and still make it work, then why wouldn't you go after it, right?
That's a really good point. And for my for my fellow investors, for the people that are in the space like me, I would submit now's not the time to be scared, and now's not the time to hold back because you hear that the economy is a certain way or that there's a recession. Um, but my mentality is I choose not to participate in the recession. So if there is a recession out there, and if the TV stations and the media and people want to claim that there's a recession, and listen, anyone can look at some evidence and say that there is a recession. Anyone can do that. I could do that. You could do that. Anybody could look at somewhere there is some evidence to indicate that there is a recession. And so it's to me, it's up to us. It's up to the individual. Are
Mm-hmm.
we willing to participate? In 2009, 2010, 2011, right after the 2008 crash, that was I was in California buying foreclosures and pre-foreclosures, and because the market said, "Go to California, young man, and buy foreclosures," because that's where the market was. So while the rest of the country was bought into a full-on, full-scale recession, the Great Recession, there were people out there that said, "Okay, this is maybe a recession for some, but this is an opportunity for others." So I really feel that it's the mindset in 2022 and 2023 and 2024. Your mindset is going to be your biggest asset. Are you going to continue to look for opportunity? Are you going to continue to look for the places where there is opportunity for you and your team and for investment? Or are you going to shrink back? And so I'm a proponent of keep pressing, go get it, go find it, search the opportunities, be smart about it,
Yeah.
but search for the opportunities consistently.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, even just like reading books and listen to interviews, from Warren Buffett or the Rockefellers, when those depressions and recessions were going on, and everyone was running away, they were starting businesses, they were investing in things, and once all of that came back, now they're on top, right?
Right,
Now they're
right,
the people selling to people trying to get back in because they've scaled while everyone else fell back. So yeah, 100% with you on there.
right. Yeah, you could look at those families that built extraordinary amount of wealth in hard times, and that they seized an opportunity.
Mhm.
Um, and I would say that now is a good time for people to seize opportunities as well. Um, some of the biggest companies in the world were built in 2008, 2009, 2010.
Yeah.
So Amazon came alive, I think, in 2008 or nine, was it? Something like that, or around that time. So you don't get a much bigger company than that. So there will be opportunities.
So could you start from scratch today, and how would you do it?
Man, that's a good question. I don't know that I would want to. I don't know that I would want to, but the answer is yes, I could. I'm 100% convinced, 100%
Mhm,
convinced that if you took everything away from me,
mhm.
and but by the way, I'm not praying for that, okay? But if you took everything away from me and put me in a helicopter and dropped me somewhere in the world, I could make my way. I could make my way profitably. I would figure out a way to, uh, uh, to be a person of substance and a person that would figure out a way to make his wealth. I really believe that.
Absolutely.
So that's why I also believe that in any economy, I'll be okay. I'll be okay. And
Mhm.
I'm at a juncture in my life where I don't need to work like a crazy person. So I do it for the uh, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't need to work like a crazy person. I do it for the drive of it. I do it for the
Okay.
satisfaction of it. Like it brings me a great deal of personal satisfaction when I can put together a business, a team, a group of people. We go out and we accomplish a certain thing. And then, we all look at each other and we go, wow, well done. Good job.
Mhm.
And then we go do it again. There's a great deal of satisfaction there for me in that.
Okay. So what's your end game? You mentioned 3,000 doors, in the next 12 months. What's the next 5 years? What's the next 10 years? When does Paul say, you know, I can stop now?
I don't think I'll ever stop.
Okay. Can't
I
stop, won't
tell
stop.
I tell my wife that, she's like, well, when do you want to retire? And retirement's just not a word that I've ever been real comfortable with. I have quasi retired twice in my life already. So, I made a bunch of money and then I stopped working for a while and I got bored and then I made a bunch of money and I stopped working and just went. So I get a great deal of satisfaction in the exercise of it.
Mhm.
So I think even when I'm at the age where I'm supposed to be retired, I think when I'm at that age, I don't think I will be. I think I'll still be doing something very actively, investing, mentoring, leading organizations. I just don't see myself being that uh, uh, classically retired person. Might I dial it back a little bit? Sure. My wife and I love to travel. You said before the show, you were saying that you see our Facebook and we're always all over the place. And yeah, we love to go places. We're always somewhere. And that's just the life that we like to lead. We like to lead a life of adventure. And
Mhm.
so we talked about values earlier in the show. And so one of my personal values is adventure. I love adventure. So anything adventurous, and by the way, I can make adventure out of anything. So
Mhm.
anything adventurous, it meets my personal needs. So I think the answer to your question is over the next 5 years, we'll get somewhere between 5 and 7,000 apartment doors. That'll be a plenty good cash flow. I'll continue to buy and sell properties, and I'll continue to buy and sell real estate. We have My wife and I have a large family in terms of kids and grandchildren, and so we're working to leave a legacy for them. So there's plenty of reason for me to keep motivated and for me to keep doing what I'm doing,
Mhm.
and plus the enjoyment of it.
Okay. Sounds good. And I want you to talk a little bit now about, I know, you're a coach, you're a mentor, right? So how does that come into play for you, right? What are some key things you do to add value to your students, right? How does someone get in contact with you if, they want you to be their coach, right? If they want, to hear from you.
Sure, anything social media at Paul Montelongo. So Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, except Twitter. I'm not on Twitter because Elon Musk has not invited me yet.
He might ban you.
He might ban me. So that's the best way to get a hold of me is anything social media or my website, paulmontalongo.com. And as far as coaching and mentoring, I don't have a formal program
Mhm.
yet. I am collecting a group of people that I will mentor during 2023, and we will identify goals that in terms of business goals, in terms of life goals, that we will identify those and we will go get those. And so, if that's something of interest to somebody that's listening, great, reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you and see if that is something that would work for you. But I've mentored and coached and taught since 1999. In 1999, it was the first time I ever heard of a business coach. And I
Mhm.
thought, oh, that's cool. Let me try that. And so, through the years, I've done a lot of business coaching, a lot of mentoring. But at this moment, my focus is on the real estate and buying real estate. So my mentorship involves, if you want to buy real estate and you want to be in the real estate business and a multifamily business especially, then come on with me and we'll go do it together. And I'll teach you what I know. And then and I'll mentor you through my behavior. I'll mentor you through my actions. And at this moment, that's the best way that I can see to mentor somebody. Will I put together a formal program in the near future? I think so. I really think so. That's one of the things that we're looking at in 2023. But at this moment, it's like, if you want it, reach out to me and we'll figure it out.
Okay, nice. And then, so is it just going to be, well, someone who wants to reach out to you, right? You've built 8 multi-million-dollar businesses. Does it just have to be real estate, right? Can someone reach out to you and consult with you about X, Y, and Z? Maybe they have a service sales business or something like that.
Absolutely. I'm willing to help on that. Yeah. Most of the bit, well, all the businesses that I've had, they all revolve around a couple of things. It's like, do you have a product, goods, or service that is good in the marketplace? And then how do you sell it? And
Mhm.
then how do you operate your business so that it stays profitable? So those three components right there, I coach and I put together for somebody. So if somebody has a viable business that they want to expand or they want better, to do better, yes, I'm open to that.
Okay, nice, nice, nice. All right, so guys, you heard that he's open. If you want to reach out to him, I'll have his information here in the description, in the comments. Reach out to him. Paul, great guy. It was a pleasure having you on the show. Definitely learned a lot of good things from me, and I'm sure my viewers have as well, man. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chaka. I'm glad to join you, and let's stay in contact.
Stay in contact.